All right, today we're tackling something huge. I'm talking about one of the most ambitious educational reforms we've seen this century, India's National Education Policy 2020. And look, this is not just some minor update. We're talking about a complete overhaul of the entire system, from the time a kid is in preschool all the way up to their university degree. So what's actually changing? Why is it such a big deal? And, what does it mean for millions of students? Let's dive in and break it all down.
Okay, think back to your school days in India. If you're like me, one thing is just burned into your memory, the 10+2 system, right? You had those 10 years of school and then the 2 years of junior college. It's just what we knew. It's been the foundation of everything for generations.
Well, get ready for a shock. That system, it's gone. Yep, you heard that right. After all those decades, the 10+2 structure is officially on its way out. And what's replacing it is a whole new framework, something built for the world we live in today. A world that, let's be honest, needs a lot more from us than just memorizing facts for an exam. So to really get a sense of how massive this change is, we've got to take a quick step back and look at the history. Because this is not just some small policy adjustment. No, this is a true once-in-a-generation kind of overhaul. So take a look at these dates. You see the first policy in '68, the second in '86, and then the third in 2020. I mean, just look at that gap. The last big change was way back in 1986. That's a 34-year difference. Think about how much the world, technology, the entire economy has changed in that time. It's just night and day. So this new policy, it's not just about catching up. It's really about trying to leap forward.
And you better believe, after a 34-year wait, the vision for this new policy is anything but small. It's incredibly ambitious. The official goal isn't just about, improving education. It's about transforming India into a global knowledge superpower. The idea is to build a system that doesn't just produce graduates, but creates real innovators who can compete on the world stage. So if 10+2 is out, what's in? It's this new structure, 5 + 3 + 3 + 4. This new framework basically maps out a student's entire journey through school, right from the very beginning. And that beginning, well, it now starts a whole lot earlier.
But why start so early? What's the big idea? Well, it all comes down to this one single statistic that is just staggering. 85% of a child's brain has already developed by the time they turn 6. 85%. So, for the first time ever, the new policy is recognizing this and pulling those super important early years right into the formal education system. And here's what that 5 + 3 + 3 + 4 journey actually looks like. It all kicks off with the foundational stage. That's 5 years of learning through play, really building those core skills. Then, you move into the preparatory stage, where it's all about discovery and activity-based learning. After that comes the middle stage, and this is where you start getting subject-specific teachers. Finally, you hit the secondary stage, and this is where it gets really interesting. It's all about flexibility, multidisciplinary studies, and having a real choice in what you learn.
But, this isn't just about shuffling the school years around. Not at all. It's about a fundamental shift in the whole philosophy of what actually happens inside the classroom.
Just check out this comparison. The old way, so much of it was about rote memorization, right? Just cramming facts. The new way is all about competency-based learning. So what does that mean? It means instead of just memorizing a date from history, you're evaluated on whether you can actually analyze why it was important. Those high-stakes, all-or-nothing final exams, they're being replaced with 360-degree continuous assessment. And those rigid walls between arts, science, and commerce, yeah, they're being torn down. So what does this actually mean for students on a day-to-day basis? Well, some really exciting stuff. The curriculum itself is getting lighter, focusing only on the core essentials. Coding is going to be introduced as early as class 6. And get this, there's no more rigid separation between streams. You could literally study physics along with fashion design. Plus, they're introducing things like 10-day internships and bagless days for hands-on learning, where you might learn carpentry or pottery from a local expert.
So a big question is, how do you even measure all this new kind of learning? Well, you can say goodbye to the old report card. The new system uses what's called a holistic progress card. The whole idea is to get a complete 360-degree view of a student. It won't just be about marks. It'll include things like self-assessment, feedback from classmates, and it will value skills like critical thinking and creativity just as much as academic scores.
And this revolution doesn't just stop when school ends. Oh no. The policy completely re-engineers higher education, too. It's introducing a level of flexibility that honestly was pretty much unheard of in India until now.
Now, the real key to all this new flexibility is something called the Academic Bank of Credits, or ABC for short. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital wallet, but for your education. Every single course you finish earns you credits, and they all get stored in this one digital account. The best part? You can then take those credits and transfer them between different colleges and universities. It's a game changer.
And this credit system makes something really incredible possible: multiple entry and exit points in your degree. So what does that mean? It means if life happens and a student has to drop out after just 1 year, they don't leave empty-handed. They get a formal certificate for their work. If they complete 2 years, they get a diploma. 3 years, a bachelor's degree. And 4 years gets you a bachelor's with research. It's basically a safety net that finally acknowledges that, life isn't always a straight line.
So you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? Why make such massive, sweeping changes? Well, it all ties back to a few incredibly ambitious goals that India has for its future.
First up, access to education. The big target is to get the gross enrollment ratio in higher education up to 50% by the year 2035. To put that in perspective, that basically means doubling the current number of students going to university. It's a massive push to make higher education way more accessible.
The second big target is all about practical skills. The goal here is that by 2025, so really soon, at least half of all students will have had some kind of exposure to vocational education. We're talking skills like coding, carpentry, electrical work, things that connect what you learn in the classroom directly to real-world jobs.
And of course, the big question is, who's paying for all this? Well, this whole engine is supposed to be fueled by a major financial commitment. The policy is calling for public spending on education to be increased to 6% of the country's GDP. That is a huge jump, and it's meant to provide the resources to actually make all of this happen.
So, when you boil it all down, here's the crucial point. This entire massive policy is designed to do one thing: shift the mindset of an entire country away from just memorization and towards innovation. It's a bet on building a whole new generation of creative thinkers and problem solvers.
But let's be realistic. A change this monumental doesn't happen overnight. Not even close. This is a long-term vision. The implementation is happening in phases, with the final target for everything to be fully in place by 2040.
And that, of course, leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? The plan on paper is incredibly ambitious. The vision is crystal clear. But with a deadline that's still 2 decades away, the success of this whole thing will come down to one word: execution. The real challenge now is turning this revolutionary blueprint into a reality on the ground for hundreds of millions of students across the country.